It's the World Pharmacists Day today, set aside to celebrate the contributions of pharmacists and, of course, pharmacology to medical care. And in Nigeria, of course, it's been celebrated amid growing concerns of new emerging diseases. There's cholera. And of course, the NCDC also raised an alert on Ebola recently. So let's talk about the value of the profession. And joining us this morning, we have Mr. Anthony Oyawole. He's a treasurer, Nigeria Academy of Pharmacy, former chairman, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria. He's right here in our Lagos studio. Good morning, Mr. Oyawole. Thank you for coming on the program.
Good morning. Thank you for inviting us.
Yeah, and the theme for this year's celebration is Think Health, Think Pharmacists. I'm wondering, amid so many challenges in the health sector,
yes,
increasing price of drugs, why should I be thinking affordability? Why am I thinking pharmacist?
Yeah, you have to think about pharmacy. Say think health, think pharmacy, because pharmacy occupies an important position when health is being discussed. And the team is a global team got by Federation of Pharmaceuticals and Pharmaceutical Sciences at the world level. We call it International Pharmaceutical Federation. And September 25 is usually set aside all over the world for advocacy on the role of pharmacists in the healthcare team. This started 15, 16 years ago. And if you will recollect that virtually in the world today, you have World AIDS Day, the day for malaria, the day for tuberculosis, and you even have Women's Day, Mothering Day, and
the Girl Child Day,
the Children's Day. So there is need for a day for the professionals who are battling diseases, who are making sure that we combat all the ailments that is coming to mankind. And that was what necessitated the setting, getting a day for pharmacists worldwide. So it's a worldwide celebration, not just Nigeria. And when you say think health, think pharmacy, you find out that pharmaceuticals occupy an important position when you are talking about health. And if you go to hospital, you're a patient, 90 to 97% of people that visit hospital will have one thing or the other to do with drugs. And that's why it is important that if you are thinking health, you have to think about pharmacy and you have to think of pharmacists. And pharmacists are the people who are producing these drugs, who are making it available, and who are making sure that these potent medicaments elicit the actions that the body requires to take care of the body and the soul. Like they say, a healthy mind is a sound mind, and a healthy nation is a wealthy nation. So if the issue of pharmacy is taken out of it, there will be nothing left. So that's why it is important to say think health, think pharmacy.
Mr. Oyawole, I'm happy you've mentioned the issue of manufacturing or production of these medications, because it's such a big challenge. I know this government has had to ask Nigerians to patronize made in Nigerian goods and all of that. So in terms of the production of these medications in Nigeria, where exactly are we? Because during the COVID-19 pandemic, Nigeria was practically running helter-skelter. We're depending on the international community to send, I'm not sure if it's Pfizer now, I can't remember some of those names again, that we had to depend on the vaccines from the international community. We're practically begging for it. And some person said, you know what, how come we cannot even have our own medications here that can tackle the COVID-19 pandemic? So where are we in terms of production of medicines here in Nigeria?
Yeah, you are talking about medicine security. Medicine security in the sense that we need to be able to produce the medicine we need in our country. Like you mentioned, during the COVID era, it got as bad as even where we are importing drugs from. Because when disease comes, you first of all think of yourself. Like when you are flying, if you are being advised to put on your belt or the mask to save your life, they say, do your own first before you do that of your child. If you're having any child with you at that point in time. I could recollect, it got as bad as bad as a situation where in India they banned the exportation of about 20 drug medicaments, even to the as common as paracetamol. So because they are thinking about their own security. But back home, Nigeria is also developing. We have in Nigeria today pharmaceutical companies that are WHO qualified, that they can manufacture medicine for the whole world, Europe, America inclusive. So we are getting there gradually. And the production of medicine in Nigeria has moved from where we used to be of about 40%, approaching 50, 60 of the basic needs we need in Nigeria.
50%?
It's getting there. Of the basic pharmaceuticals we need. The basic drugs. The basic drug. When you are talking about the basic drug, what are the basic drugs? The anti-malarials, the multivitamins, the analgesics, and the drugs that are used for common ailments. We are producing that in the country because the pharmaceutical manufacturing group of man are really working assiduously with government. Now, there are some medicaments that we still have to bring into the country. Those ones, the government is trying to see how to put up policy that will make sure that when they are in, the prices are affordable. That is the stage we are in now.
But Mr. Yawale, when you say 50%, perhaps for basic drugs, for other treatment care drugs and other medical tools, the price is not smiling, and this is not a time, some would say this is not a time to be ill at all. And the government's intervention, the executive order on the importation of pharmaceutical drugs, which saw the reduction of tariff on machinery, is not working. 1 year down the line since the introduction, what is the position of the Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria on this executive order that is apparently not helping as far as the cost of drugs is concerned?
In fact, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, in conjunction with other stakeholders, like Nigeria Academy of Pharmacists, the Pharmaceutical Manufacturer Group, came together to press for that policy to be heard from government. It didn't just come from the blues. So the stakeholders met, they met with the Minister for Health, and the outcome was that executive order. But we must understand the executive order. The executive order is not about the drugs being just coming at a rock bottom price. What they are talking about is machineries and what you need to produce those drugs. There are some drugs we cannot produce here in Nigeria as of today. Those drugs still need to be imported. So those drugs are not part of that executive order. So the tariffs cannot affect it. We are talking about drugs for asthmatics. We are thinking of the nebulizers, where you are using candies and that. We are not yet producing those in this country. So if they come...
What will it take to produce those drugs?
Technology, infrastructural development. You know, to set up plants to produce such require a humongous amount of money. And the private sector to get into this, and you know what is the borrowing rate from our bank? Central Bank has only lowered by 50 basis points to 27%. That is borrowing from Central Bank.
So what treatment care drugs have the executive order impacted upon to reduce the price? It's
impacting on pharmaceutical raw materials and machineries, so that if the machinery comes and we are able to build our own factories and build and start manufacturing in Nigeria, the price will become lower than importing them. So it's to bring in the raw material and the machinery to manufacture those drugs.
So we're still on ground zero.
We are still on. So that's why the public doesn't understand this. We just had the executive order. The price of drug will come down. It doesn't work that way. Because if the major drugs, the highly ethical drugs, that those ones are still going to be imported, and the naira exchange rate is still, we are still looking at 1,500 to $1, 1,000 around that range. So it will still affect the import cost of those drugs. So until we are producing maximally, virtually all we need We are not yet out of Uhuru.
Let me quickly get this one through as we wind down. If you can answer it in 30 seconds. We've heard how the Japa syndrome has impacted on the healthcare sector, the number of doctors and nurses diminishing. How has it impacted on pharmacy?
It has impacted badly on pharmacy. Hardly can I'm aware of a teaching hospital in this Lagos who has just recently given employment to some young pharmacists. They refuse to pick up their letter of appointment. Why? Because of the pay. And they know that they have better offers outside the source of this country. So the JAPA is affecting everybody. And that's one of the reasons why incentives will be given by government to those who are staying behind. Those who are making sure that, okay, we are here, we want to build our countries together. Like the consultant pharmacists that the federal government has given the go-ahead that all of them should be employed by federal health institutions. And we see how some institutions not engaging them. It's a disincentive. If we lose them to the outside world, we'll be back to ground zero. So government must be up and doing in making sure their policy on whatever they say see the light of the day and they carry it out to the letter.
Let's perhaps paint a picture in terms of fake drugs in this country. That's a major concern, where sometimes you have to treat malaria up to 2 or 3 times. You have to treat some sort of infection up to 2 or 3 times because you hear that they'll say the first one you bought was fake. How is that of a big concern to your association? And maybe you can also give us, in terms of the percentage, how many percentage of drugs in Nigeria can we describe as fake? Because at some point, one of your former national chairmen, I can't remember his name now, had said, put the numbers when the late Dora Kuni was alive, at 70%.
That was then when study was done by Faculty of Pharmacy, University of Lagos. Akurela was the chairman then. So we had an unpalatable figure. But right now, you know, fake, counterfeit, spurious drug is a world phenomenon. It is only not limited to Nigeria. It's a global problem. Even the so-called multinationals, the Pfizers of the world, they are fighting it tooth and nail, the GlaxoSmithKline. So it's a global problem. With respect to treating malaria, now, at times, when people treat malaria, it may not be malaria they are treating. So the fact that you have high body temperature, your temperature rises and whatever, and you go and rush to go and buy anti-malaria without actually testing whether you are having malaria. If you take anti-malaria, it's not going to work. So the recommendation is now, please test before you, to be sure that you are having malaria fever before you treat it.
So, Mr. Yobele, so if you're going to put some numbers to it, globally, what's the percentage like? In Nigeria, what's the percentage like of fake drugs?
In Nigeria, the percentage, NAFDAC has been working. Truth be told, NAFDAC has been working. And I think the percentage, more so with what happened in February, where they went out to make sure that the drug markets were sanitized to some extent, you know, and they carted over 130 trucks of fake drugs out of the system. So we can say it has reduced to the BRS minimum now in this year. So, but we can only encourage them that NAFDAC, Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, should not let down their guard on what they are able to achieve in February, March. They should sustain it so that fake drug does not escalate, counterfeit drug does not escalate. It has been reduced to the BRS minimum, which I believe, if they continue in that light, Nigeria can beat their chair and say, yes, it will be under single digit.
And as we wind down, speaking of regulation, what about the council itself? How is it doing the inner work of regulating its members and ensuring that they are not found wanting during these raids when there are drugs that are not supposed to be on the counter, there are drugs that are not supposed to be, you know, found in some pharmacies? What is the PSN itself doing?
No, it is a Pharmacists Council of Nigeria. PSN is like an NGO, but we are a major stakeholder. But we are working in conjunction with the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria. And that's why we are imploring federal government to constitute the governing council of the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria, So that if it's constituted, those who are supposed to be disciplined, it is the governing council that will handle this. And in the absence of the governing council, there is nothing you can do. So appeal is to the federal government, the Minister of Health, that it is high time that the governing council of the Pharmacists Council of Nigeria is constituted so that sanity can be brought to bear in the affairs of pharmaceutical services in Nigeria.
Well, so many implications to this conversation, and it's a good thing that we had it. Of course, you can go back and watch this online. We must thank you so much for coming on the program. We've been talking with Mr. Anthony Oyawole. He's a treasurer, Nigeria Academy of Pharmacy, and former chairman, Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria, Lagos branch. Thank you for coming on the program.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you, sir.
And of course, this is where we anchor the program today. By all means, it's been a great one on this side. We look forward to being here again tomorrow for the last leg of the conversation. Thank you so much for watching. I am Bukola Koka.
I am Kelly Egiga. Please stay here on Channels TV. Sunrise Daily is next. Good morning.